know who this guy is, so I'm not going to introduce him. But I love him. He's my brother. He's my cousin. Now, about being heavy and my brother, I'm not going there. Okay, we're not going to go there. But Danny Fender, ladies and gentlemen.
Danny.
How you doing? So 2 weeks ago, I got suckered into doing VBS. It was against my will because my wife told me to do it. Speaking of which, it's her birthday today. Don't tell her I told you. But no, I actually had VBS. It was my first experience with VBS, and it was great. Had a really good time. Don't calm down, Rachel. I wasn't going to, even if it was bad, I wouldn't have said it out loud. But no, it was a really good time. What was really amazing was to watch the kids and how much fun they had and get a sense of that's how church is supposed to be. It's just supposed to be fun. But the verse, the theme of VBS was Breaker Rock Beach, which was really cool to make all those t-shirts that said Breaker Rock Beach. That is now imprinted here. But the verse, the theme verse, the memory verse, what that VBS program was set on, I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. It's just been there. And that verse was Romans 12:2. And it was really cool to watch the kids. I'm used to dealing with the youth. They memorize nothing. Yes, I offended you, Lorna, on purpose. But it was really cool to watch the kids have fun doing the crafts, but really, really challenge themselves to learn that verse. And by Friday, all we would say is, what is the memory? And bam, they were coming out with it. Reuben was a rock star. I thought it was going to be like herding cats, but it was actually pretty nice. And Romans 12:2 is pretty much where I have a rough time personally. Is my voice that awesome? Whoa. It hums on its own. But no, Romans 12:2, this verse kind of, it sets on me a lot. And it says, do not conform to the pattern of this world. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, when you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. That's really hard in today's world, to not conform, to not appease, to not just go with the flow, as we used to say. And it really just, the more I thought about it, that whole week, the week after that, it just really was, when we don't do that, when we do conform to the world and we don't wash our minds and we don't renew our minds, that affects everything. That affects everything we do, everything we are, everything we try to be. And the biggest thing is it affects our choices. Your choices and your decisions in life can make or break not just you, but an entire generation, a family, someone that's not even who you would think is paying attention to how you're doing things and how the words you say, how you treat people. And if you're not conformed with God's will, but you're conformed to this world, that's what they see every day. Why would they want that? Well, I go to church. Well, I don't want any part of that if that's what that brings about. And when you think about choices, it makes me really think about Lot. Remember the story of Lot, Abraham and Lot? So Abraham, he just comes back from Egypt with the family, and Lot's there, and Lot's got his own family and his own farm and his own cattle, and Abraham's, and they're getting equally huge in size, and God's promise is coming out on both sides and Lot finally says, enough, we need to separate. And Abraham says, well, okay, you go left, I'll go right. You go right, I'll go left. See, the significance of that is in that world and in that time, much like what we do today, it's all landmarks. You know, everyone says, go to the Jack in the Box, make a left, it's the third house on the right, right? Well, back then, it was the same cause, but their landmark was the Mediterranean Ocean. So when Abraham says, you go left, I'll go right, that's you go south, I'll go north. You go north, I'll go south. What did Lot do? I don't want to do any of that. I'm going to go east. That was not in the plan. And where did that take him? Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah was a group of cities. Sodom and Gomorrah were the primary cities, and then it had its outliers, kind of like that weird place, you know, Dallas, Fort Worth, Denton, all of South Oklahoma right there. It's all stars and mavericks and weirdness, and I did that for Mike, by the way. But what ends up happening? The kings of Sodom and Gomorrah and the surrounding territories, they get into a squabble with each other. Lot is outside of the city, and they hold him hostage because they want to take everything that he has. And Abraham comes in to save him. And instead of going back with Abraham, he's like, no, I'm good right where I'm at. He moved from being outside of the city in his own tent to now he's at the city gates. And then when we finally find him towards the end of Sodom and Gomorrah, he's in the city. Just like in the story of Jonah and the well, Jonah goes down, Jonah goes down, Jonah goes down. Cain, when he was banished from the family, Cain went down, always in a negative connotation, always the wrong direction. And sometimes as Christians, we feel like we have to do that because we're Christians, right? We're supposed to know the answers. We're supposed to have it all together, right? And so we make these rash decisions based on something we think we should do because that's how we think we should be, and we never once stop and say, where do you want me? And even the Bible talks about that in Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek his will in all that you do, and he will show which path to take. That's the amazing thing. Men in the room, men, you ain't got to know it all. There's a lot of pressure put on us. Let's just face facts where they are. A lot of pressure put on us to know what to do. Good thing is, we don't got to know. All we got to know is we can stop, we can ask, Lord, what do we do in this situation? I've got a situation brewing, and I don't know how to handle this, but I'm expected to handle it. What do I need to do? Even in professional life, as a manager or business owner, they tell you if you want to succeed, what you do is you find the person that is succeeding and you glue yourself to them. And you want to emulate what they're doing. Why wouldn't you want to do that with God, the creator of all, the one that gave all of this to us, and we're just supposed to steward it? So, just like Lot, do you think he was going off of Abraham's recommendation, seeking the Lord? No, it was what we need to do, what I need to do. But again, seek the Lord first. Don't lean on your own stuff, because your own stuff has got you where you're at. Also, then, in today's world, I mean, walk into any bookstore, whether it be half-price books, Barnes & Nobles, used to be Borders books. That's the one I like the most. One of the biggest sections you'll find is the self-help section. Everybody that can parcel the use of grammar and dictation can put out a book of this is how I got out of financial ruin, and I'm going to teach you in these 12 easy steps. Or for some of us, this is how I lost 400 pounds in 10 minutes. Nothing ever sounds good enough to be true, but we fall right into it. Millions of dollars in stuff that we spend, and motivational speakers and the Tony Robbins of the world. I remember back in high school, part of the DECA program, which is basically an entrepreneurship program, we got to go to Astroworld. We got to go behind the scenes of Astroworld, and the guest speaker was Mattress Mac. And back then, he wasn't Mattress Mac, he was Jim McIngvale. And he said his philosophy in business, now again, this is back in the 90s, the late 90s. This is not today by any stretch, but he said he's always run a course of action. If it is to be, it is up to me. There was thousands of us teenagers, lunkhead teenagers with nothing on our mind, I wish this speech would be over so we could go ride the rides at Astroworld. But the one thing that stuck out to a lot of us, if it is to be, it is up to me. And why does it have to be up to me? Why would I put all that pressure on myself? Jesus said, "Come to me, all who are burdened and are heavy laden. I will give you rest." We don't have to carry that. All we have to do is follow. Jesus calls us into a relationship with him, and all we have to do is acknowledge that we are a sinner, that we have sinned, and the only way out of it is through him, the sacrifice that he made. Amen. That's all that's required of us. We don't have to go any further. And then if you just don't know what to do, in the book of James, sorry for all the men's ministry PTSD I just caused. In the book of James, chapter 1, verse 5, it says, if you need wisdom, ask God. Ask our generous God, and he will give it you. He will not rebuke you for asking. Again, I'm going to talk to the men in the room. Pressure. Now, I don't want to belittle the moms in here. Y'all do the most important job on the face of the planet. Y'all take care of those babies. Y'all bring those babies into the world. Y'all take care of those babies. You keep us in line, because without y'all, Moses, Sandra, Mike and I would be broke all the time. Just guitars everywhere. So, I'm not trying to belittle you at all. What I'm trying to say is a lot of pressure has been put on men today. They want us to figure the problem, but then they don't want you to mansplain it to death, which I don't understand. Some ways the world has gotten where it is because the men of this world have decided to just laissez-faire, lay back, and let it happen. And sometimes you just got to stand up and you got to get out in front of it. But a lot of times men are left with choice. A, disappoint the family. Choice B, disappoint this situation. Good news is the Bible never wanted you, God never wanted you to feel alone. So even in your moments where you just don't know what to do, there's an entire book called the Book of Lamentations. It is for lamenting. Lamenting is be sad. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to not know what to do. It's okay to go through a little piece of depression. Because we know there's a guy there that's going to pull us out. We know that Jesus is just waiting for us to turn around and ask. And so, we got to be careful in the direction that we want to take our families, correct? Because in a lot of ways, that's the parents' choice in the way they want to take your family, in the direction you want to take your families. See it all the time. The youth of this world are chasing a world that doesn't even want them. But it just doesn't want you here. It doesn't want you in the fellowship of the faith. Because the Bible says, do not forsake the gathering, as the heathens do. So what's one thing the devil's going to do? Cause everything, every step, everything to put in front of that teenager to where they don't want to be here because they got something else better to do. They're chasing social media influencers that are living fantasy lives, and to them, perception is reality. And it's very unfortunate that you have to sit back and you have to watch these kids walk this road. Y'all have heard my testimony several times. Streetcar racer from the 90s. I've done some really wild things. I've done some really bad things. When I say I walked down that road, I mean I've walked down that road. And it just breaks my heart that you just got to experience it for yourself. But unfortunately, that's human nature. That's the bent of a fallen and broken world. And the best thing I can give you is Jesus. No matter how many games we play in the youth, no matter how many times we watch The Chosen, no matter how many videos or movies we watch, because I just haven't got anything ready that is ready to talk about, the best thing I can do is through all of that, circle it back to Jesus, because that's where this all goes. And so, make decisions that are going to bring you closer to God, bring your family closer to God. Because when you're sitting back on Sunday and you're really wishing that you were at home and you're watching football through TiVo, and then you get really angry because your best friend texts you while you're in the middle of a boring church service and says, "Oh goodness, they just won," and you're like, "Great. Thanks for spoiling that." Or the barbecue that's happening on Sunday, or the school thing, extracurricular school activities have gotten, I don't know how Lorna made it out of high school. I really don't. All I know is she was under so much pressure that she's coming out of Diamond, because I watched her drag herself into this building because this is her place of worship and she needs to sing for her family and her God. And it was amazing to watch. And Kiara as well. I've seen some of these girls, just all the pressure in the world that you can put on a teenager, and they still drag themselves in here. And it motivates me to be better. It really does. But when you're thinking about all those things you could be doing, Billy got a message about going to a baseball game one Tuesday night, and he just couldn't do it. The Bible answers that too. 1 Peter 2:9, it says, "But you are not like that, for you are a chosen people. You are royal priests, a holy nation, God's very own possession. As a result, you can show others the goodness of God, for he called you out of the darkness into his wonderful light." Discipleship. Discipleship, 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 discipleship. I'm going to say that until y'all are tired or y'all want me to leave. Discipleship. If there's one thing that Autumn Creek is missing, it is discipleship. You, I, us, we have got to start living this broken world together. And not just on Sunday morning and Tuesday evening and Thursday afternoon. We have got to live this. We've got to be vulnerable with each other. We have got to get together and show that we are the family we say we are. And then when we take that out into the world, and the people out in the world that are broken, that are having a rough time, that need to see Jesus, when all they see is us, we have failed. When we're out in the world, they should see nothing but Jesus. The Bible says, go and make disciples. The Bible says, make disciples and baptize them. Discipleship. Find your Timothy. Look for a Paul, because you're Timothy. If Paul's not working, go to Barnabas. Discipleship is key, because without discipleship, you have no accountability. You can't be accountable to yourself. You're your own worst enemy, but you're also your biggest idol. The one you want to hurt the least is the one that stares back at you at the mirror, because that's the thing you've got to look at every day. So we as Christians need accountability. And that accountability runs both ways. That accountability runs where I could feel comfortable that I should be able to send a message, call anyone. I'm horrible at this, so please forgive me. I could call, text, email, anything. I got issues. I'm not doing good. And all we should hear back is, I got you. What you need. Unfortunately, and Billy said it, I've said it, we've gotten so used to, you messed up. You messed up. Well, if it were me, if it were me, this is how I would have handled that. Job's friends found out that wasn't the right answer, now didn't they? God finally had enough, and he had to come down himself and say, whoa. And one of the most awesome, kids, look it up, one of the most awesome verses in the Bible, I created the Leviathan. I created the behemoth. Do you really think that I don't control this? Are you serious? But we need accountability to tell us that hey, are you okay? Because you're not right, and you're kind of, I don't think that was the exact right thing to do. Are you okay? Because a lot of times we make decisions just because we got nothing else to, we're out of ideas. I'm out of ideas. I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to wing it and go this way. And if you don't have someone there that you're living life with, and you don't have someone there that's holding you accountable to yourself, to your walk with Jesus, that you can be vulnerable with, you're not going to make it out of here. None of us will make it out of here that way. Not a single one of us. My dad told me one time, one of the few things that my dad told me that I listened to, when you've dug yourself into a hole, when everything you've done decision-wise, all the choices that you've made, and in our sphere, because we haven't conformed to God's will, and we've decided to conform to the world because that's the easiest path. And we're at the bottom of the hole that we dug, and we don't see any way out of it. Put down the shovel. Stop. Stop making the hole deeper. And look up. Because he looked down from the cross and said, I got you. And if anybody's going to get us out of the hole, it's going to be him. And if you leave here with nothing else today, nothing else, understand that Jesus went to the cross because he's the lover of your soul. He's not a genie in a bottle. I call him in you Spirit Sprinkle Fingers Jesus. He's my friend, and so he'll do what I want. No. He'll bring you joy. Joy is a lot different than happiness. Happiness is fleeting. Joy is eternal. And that's what he wants to give you. And all he wants to do is take those things away that are going to disrupt your joy, that are going to lead you down where you don't need to go, that's going to push you into decision because you think that you've got it and you think that this is the way you should be. And he's going to pull that away from you. He's going to say, give it to me. Yep, you're doing good, but that thing right there, let me have that too. Because when he was on the cross, he looked down and he said to Tetelestai, it is completed. A debt paid in full that you don't deserve, that's called mercy, given to you because of grace. And for grace are you saved by faith, not of your works, lest any man should boast. So, if you need to make a decision today, make the most important one. Make the one for eternity. Make the one that is going to bring you joy, that's going to bring you into a fellowship of believers that you can live life with, that you can be accountable to and for. Make that decision, because tomorrow's not guaranteed. Today is the day of salvation, not tomorrow. It's not something you can lose, and it's not something that you could buy, because it never was yours to give. It was his to give for you because he loves you. And all he asks in return is just follow. That's all you got to do. Follow. There's nothing special. You don't got to go knocking on the doors. I hate knocking on doors. I don't like people. There's like this much of me that was so thankful that it started profusely pouring down rain at the boardwalk. I was like, yes, we'll be done early. But no, if you've never accepted Jesus and you don't know what that even means, there's people in the room. There's people in the room that are more than willing to talk to you. In fact, stop their day to talk to you about that gift. If you don't know who it is, you need confirmation of who Jesus is and what he can do for you. Doors open. Just got to walk through it. Pray with me. Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for your words, your encouragement, and your message. We just ask that if there's anyone here that's never had an encounter with your Son, with Jesus, that today be that day, and it shake them to the ground that they can't leave here without getting more. And we just ask that as we move forward from this moment and we leave this place, that they don't see us anymore. They see Jesus in us. We want to remember Miss Christie. We want to remember Lori. We want to remember all those who are ailing right now, that new sickness, old sickness. We just want to ask that you watch over, you guide, you comfort them. There's a lot of uncertainty in this world that we live in today. It is the nature of a broken world. It is the nature of sin, and we just ask that you protect us from that. That you walk with us, you guide us, and you never leave us. And we ask these things in Jesus' precious name. Amen. Love you guys.